Ben Reilly Spiderman. After years of self-imposed exile, Spider-Man is back, now calling himself Ben Reilly and sporting a brand new costume and web shooters. The Wall Crawler returns to fight crime. Hello and welcome to Centurions Corner, and today we are reviewing Ben Reilly Spider-Man from Marvel Legends and the retro Spider-Man line, which is kind of based loosely around on the old 90s cartoon. Actually, this guy in the cartoon was actually represented as a bad guy. But this guy, this Spider-Man, is actually the most pinnacle Spider-Man for me. It holds a massive place in my heart, and it is even my favourite Spider-Man of all time, Ben Reilly. And as we go through the review, I will let you know, I will tell you my story of why this guy is my favourite. So it will be a bit of a longer review. You know, we elaborate into my feelings for this guy, and I just can't wait to open him up. So yeah, here he is, swinging into action on that old nostalgia card. We got all the hands that we need. We have open palms, we have web shooters and punching. Unfortunately, there isn't a spare head. I would love to have an open mask, Ben Reilly. On the back, we actually have the whole wave down here, and I've got this guy from Smith's, who's $21.99 in the UK. Most of the actual website stores and stuff are still showing that it's available in May, but they have the whole entire wave on Smith's, and you can order it as well. So yeah, absolutely amazing, or spectacular. So anyway, without further ado, let's just crack this bad boy open. So here he is in his blister pack. Obviously no hidden accessories or anything there, just normally how he is, just without the reflection packaging. We can really show off that blue. So with our first impressions, let's just get him out. And this is my first retro Spider-Man as well, as I missed out on the original release. So it'd be quite nice to play with the sculpt. But yeah, it's looking really cool, feels really great as well. So we're just going to go away, take some pictures, and see how he poses, and we'll see you in a moment. So we've been away, we've taken his photos, and oh my god, Hasbro, sometimes you just completely off the mark, and other times like this you get it absolutely perfect. So well done to you guys. You've actually done me so proud on this guy. I just actually have the anticipation that it was going to be so wrong, because this was the guy that I was looking forward to the most. The red, the blue, the articulation of this figure, of this new retro one. So it's the first time I've had this new mould for Spider-Man, and I must admit, it is the bee's knees. So as we go through the review, I will tell you all about that, but I also will tell you why this guy is absolutely spectacular, because this is the spectacular Spider-Man, and in a way, it was the Spider-Man that I grew up with. Yeah, I am 40, well, I'm 41 this year, but this guy really kind of was the Spider-Man that I kind of grew up with. Yeah, okay, I watched Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. It was all Peter Parker and all his reincarnations, and especially the 90s cartoon as well. It was massive to me, but also so was the comics. And back in the 90s, when actually I started wanting to go out and buy comics and stuff like that, Peter Parker was kind of going off the scene, because the Clone Saga was the massive story at the time. And even though a lot of people say it's the worst story that you could ever get your teeth into on the Spider-Man, I loved it. Maybe it was just a thing for the future that I would have a thing for clones. But as we all know, Ben Reilly is the clone of Peter Parker. He took the first name of his uncle and the maiden name of Aunt May and brought up this guy, because in the 1960s, two Spider-Men fought together. One kind of thought they died and the other one carried on, and we all thought, well, the one we carried on with was Peter Parker, and the clone was shoved down the well and he died. But he didn't. He actually got back up and he walked around and actually it was this guy, Ben Reilly, who thought he was the real Spider-Man, or he thought he was the clone, and then Marvel wanted him to be the real Spider-Man, and then Marvel got an arse kicking by the fans, so then they brought back Peter Parker. But during that phase, that was the phase when I was really collecting comics. So this was a Spider-Man that I could only get comics of, and I absolutely loved him because he was going against Venom and all that for the very first time. If you don't know who this guy is, he normally looks like this. He's normally dressed up in the Scarlet Spider-Man kind of looking esque, but when he actually took over the mentor of Spider-Man, he took on the role as the Spectacular Spider-Man. So just as a sort of a quick glimpse, this is a couple of comics that I had back in the day. Literally they still look brand new. I mean, like, I think they're like 96 or 97 when I was collecting and stuff around. So yeah, as we got Venom one there fighting the Spectacular Spider-Man. We also got the way he looked on here, which most of them I always like the team ups, and if I got team up with Silver Surfer and Spider-Man, again with Ben Reilly on there as well. Just another one as well. This was an actual the Spectacular Spider-Man, and here we had the return of Peter Parker because he did lose his powers at the time, and this is when he was on his uprise. So we got like August 96 there. So and it's still looking brand new to this date as I look after my comics. But also, one of the biggest storylines for me in the comic time was these amalgamated ones where we had Marvel versus DC. So we had the Superman with the long hair going against the Hulk, we got the Spider-Man going against Superboy, Wonder Woman and Storm, etc. on there, Batman and all that as well. So these were my favourite comics back in the day. Just thought it was great, but again, it was this Spider-Man that went on that journey with me reading these comics. So that's why this guy really holds the most important thing to me, and the main important thing to me is actually that's why my boy is called Ben. Not because it's Star Wars or anything like that, it's because of this guy. This is the guy that I brought up with me through my teens, and now it resonates as my boy's name. So anyway, let's get on with the review. That's a little bit part of me, and let's crack on with this guy. So going through the actual review itself, it comes with a few accessories, just extra hands. It could have actually come with the Carnage symbiote hands and a head. There was a kind of Ben Reilly that came out quite a few years ago using the sort of old Spider-Man mould. And he actually did come with swappable hands for the symbiote Carnage, because this is the only Spider-Man that kind of had it. In the cartoon, he was represented as a bad Spider-Man with the Carnage on it, and it was Peter Parker, because in that same world we had the Scarlet Spider-Man that was the good guy of that world. So it's kind of a little bit of mix around on the storyline of what they've done there. So it would have been kind of nice for him to have those extra parts, but what it's really missing is a unhooded version of Ben Reilly. I would have loved an actual Peter Parker with short blonde hair. It really would set this guy off to a T. But anyway, with the accessories that we do get, we get two whipping hands on here, and as you can see, we've got nice crisp black lines over the red for the webbing, and that blue just really pops. They are easy and swappable because they are on the peg with the little hinge on there as well, so it looks pretty cool. And the other hands that it comes with is a open palm hand with the black lines and stuff on there, and we also have a closed fist as well. So yeah, quite nice sculpt. But with that, we can actually go through his articulation. And Hasbro, you've done a fantastic job on this sculpt. It's the first time playing with the retro sort of Spider-Man base, and yeah, it really makes me feel really sucky that I missed out on the original Spider-Man. So hopefully one day they will bring it back out. So headwise, we go left, we can go right, he can look down this far, and he can look back this far. It is a bit sort of like weird, we've got a weird gap here, and the head sometimes looks a bit too small, but the more I've played with it, the more it kind of looks better. Arm wise, he can come up this far, we've got a rotation here at the arm as well, that can go all around, and we've got rotation here, and a double elbow joint as well, and a rotation at the wrist and a hinge. But what brings this guy up is his beautiful butterfly joint that can come right forward here, and that also they can keep moving right around. So tilting the head back and pull him up, looking like Spider-Man's getting some really cool air time. With that, we can go down to his diaphragm. He's got a left, right, looks down this far and looks back, and then we've got a lower U-bend sort of like cut here, so you can actually get more on his ab crunch and looking down a bit more, and we can go right back as well. Leg wise, come up this far, kick forward, kick back, rotation here, double knee joint as well, and a rocker and a pivot at the ankle, and we've got that nice boot cut there for even more posability. So yeah, Hasbro, brilliant Spider-Man, brilliant looking, absolutely fantastic. And with that we can actually go through his sculpt as well. So with the head, it's kind of very basic in a way, just looks very plain. There's no sort of ear molds or anything on there, but the eyes sort of stick out a little bit, and I did have to add a little bit of black just underneath there because it was just a little bit too raised and it looked a bit weird, so I just added a bit of black on there. The crisp sort of like web look over the whole figure, the red and black, looks pretty cool. And then we have the big spider that doesn't get hindered by the butterfly joints. As you can see, it carries on the print right around the front and the back, looking quite nice. The blue, I love the blue. It's that kind of off purpley dark blue. It's just enough for Spider-Man and looks really nice. We've got the web shooters here, just looking very sort of pearlesque kind of silver, but the bootleg Scarlet Spider-Man was done in a silver with black lines, so I may just do that myself for this guy just to make him pop just that little bit more. Leg wise, they've got these nice big giant calves sticking up. It's kind of like a more matured Spider-Man kind of sculpt on there. It's not too slender in a way. And then down to his lower legs with even more crisp web legs as well, looking really cool. Yeah, really loving this guy. I think he looks absolutely fantastic, and definitely worth a purchase. So would I recommend this character? Well, hell yeah, I would. Absolutely fantastic. Obviously, if this Ben Reilly is up your street, a lot of people more like this Scarlet Spider-Man, and I'm sure he will get released soon. And if you don't like this Spider-Man, there's plenty of other Spider-Mans out there that's in this wave. We've got the Black Spider-Man coming and the Armoured Spider-Man as well. So stay tuned for those. So don't forget, if you don't want to miss those episodes, subscribe, ding the bell so you don't miss a notification. You can comment down below, like the video, donate if you want to, follow me on Instagram, all in the description down below. And I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.